champion in his pool, forcing NIP to ban it away. But I like this for Top Esports. We go back to the talk again. Doinb has not had a playoffs to be remembered. The only time he was really in his element was on that Rise, and it's just been banned away this entire time. And you talked about how pinched the jungle pool was. Xin Zhao slips through. Gotta like that B1 if you are NIP, but JackeyLove in form after that game 3. You give him Jinx and enough space, that might just be enough to say night-night.
Oh, yeah. I like the
Oh,
Lulu
here we
pairing
go.
up right here as well. This is peak JackeyLove gaming right now. And Crisp has shown some decent Lulu performances in the past as well. So this should be a pairing to watch. Now, it does mean that NIP know the bot lane and know how aggressive they can get.
Scale off!
I was wondering if we were going to see it again. We've seen it in, I think, 1 or 2 matchups previously. Zeri, Yuumi. Like you said, it's all about the scaling, but depending on what the jungler pickup right here for Kanavi is going to be, it may be, yeah, you're going to get aggressive early on and see if you can't accelerate your bot lane ahead of the opposition's.
We're going to run right through you. Ooh, actually switch up off the Olaf, so they're going to get 369 likely on this Jax. You can't flex it towards Kanavi. And you were right calling out the Yuumi. We saw it for Weibo. Mako was on that one in a loss with the Zeri Yuumi for Gala. So actually, Top Esports are the ones that are, or sorry, not Weibo. I think I got switched up. IG. It was IG. It was the Gala. So Top Esports are familiar up against a Zeri Yuumi. They're familiar with it in an elimination game as well. A lot of similarities to draw.
Yeah. But it's the level of aggression I wanted for Leave. If somebody's gonna be able to pilot this very tricky Zeri champion through a team fight, it's gonna be surely Leave. Surely Leave is able to do it
in this form
time around. Yeah, maybe. We also got to see a really impressive Jax game from Bin previously in the series earlier on today. It's his signature pickup, and boy did it look like it. It took over the map pretty much immediately. He was jumping into the backline, really using that Counter-Strike to great effect. And this is such a standard teamfight composition right now out of Top Esports. So they decide to lock themselves in this Orianna. Yeah, you've got great ball delivery system in the fact that the Jax can go leaping into the backline. Whoever you take in the jungle as well, likely going to also be able to jump into the backline too.
Doinb Mel? Are we going to get Doinb Mel right now?
It's not that good at the moment. At the same
it's
time,
definitely
if
gutted.
you don't know how to play into it, which, you know, not everybody does at this point, could be better. I wouldn't want the Mel right here as NIP. I think it's way too risky. You have to get so far ahead for it to feel like it does any damage in the game. Gragas, very different. He's going to provide you so much extra survivability for your Zeri. Also
Proven
just has
Jax
a
counter.
decent lane in the top as well. Exactly. See what the final pickup for NIP is going to be.
What does Doinb want to go to? My heart is screaming out to pick a champion that I know he could take over on. Taliyah isn't usually that one, but oh, please. Yes! There we go. Doinb is not going quietly into the night. Locks in the Yasuo alongside the Gragas. You can hear the crowd. They're already excited about this. This is how a staple, if he's going to go down, he's going down in a blaze of glory.
TS, do you want the most teamfight composition to ever teamfight? Because that would be this
That's a
right
delivery
here.
system.
Exactly.
Ornn's better. I like the Ornn.
Ornn is objectively better.
There we go. Oh,
No. Okay.
369's like, all right, hold my beverage there, Doinb. I'm gonna R5 a Camille when Ornn was way better, but who cares?
Definitely better in this situation. The Ornn can be a ball delivery system if you want to be aggressive with it, or he could just sit further in the back line, still allow the Jax to go leaping in. Instead, we're going to get the Camille. The Camille is also good for being able to bring the orb in. That works for you right here. But more than that, you can then pull it into the Gragas, and where it was a good Gragas matchup into the Jax, now it's a good Camille matchup. It's a little bit 50-50. You can get solo killed back, but if you can find a good way to get into this game properly, as 369 often can, this can be just a pop-off performance. We've seen Camille's take over the game way too often.
This is going to be fun. We had a snoozer of a game 3, but now both these teams are throwing all bets off. Skill expression galore, and the same bottom lane matchup for Top Esports in their other game 4 up against IG that they won over Gala and Mako. A lot on the line here, but legacies most importantly for these star players. 369 Camille, Doinby's Yasuo with a Gragas supporting him, JackeyLove on the Jinx. Wouldn't want a game 4 to be any other way. For NIP, it's got to be enough to try and force this the distance as we head to Summoner's Rift for potentially the final time for Ninjas in Pajamas this split.
Are we going to get Silver Scrapes? Are we going to end this one right here and send Top Esports on a date with BLG? Both options fascinating in their own rights. Personally, I want the game 5. Let's go Silver Scrapes. Let's get to watch this one more time. And as we've seen throughout the entire series so far, there's going to be something a little bit funky going on with the level 1.
As it always has to be. We're not going to get normal lane assignments. I will say, if you are an IP, I would definitely be a fan of getting 369 in an uncomfortable spot. I think Shanji on the Gragas, the range of the barrel, you got a decent amount of sustain. You'll be fine into even the double range with JackeyLove and Chris. So we'll have to see if they decide to make that swap. Still a lot of pigs and a lot of initial warding going down as we get Doinby, a good call out from the observers here. Electrocute Yasuo.
Yeah. Now that's aggressive to the nth degree. That's the sort of thing you pick up when you want to solo kill Cream immediately. See what you can get done. I mean, isn't quite able to get that last one off. Yeah, starting dash. You could see just the level.
Oh, it's a bait.
Oh, it's a bait?
Oh my god.
Can they get it?
It's like
They're
a double
slowed?
death brush. Yumi slow. They don't have any reliable
That's
CC unless it's a flash body slam. Aki dashes forward, but that's all. That's the full kit and caboodle. If you don't get a kill off the body slam, it's a bunch of summoners, but it is flash off JackeyLove, most importantly.
Yeah, lack of flash on JackeyLove. It's something I feel like we've said a million times before throughout this series. And this has been the best way for NIP to play this one out. If they can stop JackeyLove from being comfortable in his lane assignments, in his matchups, then all of a sudden these games have gone much better for NIP. And they're also going to just go for the repeat gank. I love this.
Gonna get the body slam slow. Crisp is gonna just sacrifice himself. He does have flash, but no heal. And that's both flashes off the bottom lane for TES.
Now you just do it again. And that is going to be the teleport going down. Sanji goes and picks up his lane. The next time somebody ends up in that top lane, I'm hoping it's Aki. He needs to head up into that lane and make use of the fact that those flashes have gone down. Otherwise, you're hurting your top laner's performance in his lane for no real reason. If the flashes are just able to come back up and nobody loses their life for it, what was the point of all of that? Still, leave PP God. They're going to get a lot of pressure in this lane, although they are getting kind of chunked right here. Jinx may be a scaler, but she can do a surprising amount of damage with the rockets early on.
That was barrier out of JackeyLove preemptively. Yeah. Thought that trade might go a little bit further. And I do like the idea of trying to punish JackeyLove and Crisp with their summoners down. Problem is that Aki is very far away from clearing himself towards the top side. It's actually Kanavi that has a position here to try and punish Leave and PP God. Flash available for Leave. Gotta think he's going to use it here. He has the heal and exhaust of this Yuumi to help him. Kanavi doesn't want to hop in with that counter strike, so they're able to squeeze on by out of there with no summoners burned.
Just about, and that's unfortunate. I think Kanavi was a little bit worried that if he flashed forwards, it would immediately be the flash response out of Leave, and if you get slowed enough by PP God there, you might take a couple too many tower hits to really be able to get away. Still, though, we can see proactivity out of both of these junglers, exactly what we were hoping for. I want to see even more out of Aki, right? Don't leave it up to Sanji to push your lanes ahead. Find it for yourself. Kanavi has had no such problems throughout this series so far, has been very proactive, getting in the face of his opponents as quickly as possible. Things calm down just a little bit, and although the lanes are in different places, they're not particularly interesting right now. Lane assignments are relatively normal in the matchups, and so we've got ourselves a little while until the next set of objectives are going to be spawning. Less than a minute on the Drake, a minute and a bit onto these grubs. You want to play around your bottom lane. That's the best place to play around for these objectives, but we've seen how these grub fights have been kind of weak, honestly, out of NIP.
Crisp. He's level 2 with no summoners. The slow from the Zerian does more than enough damage. Aki finds the first blood.
Okay.
When NIP needed it most.
Alright. as much as maybe their objective fights have been a little bit weak recently, getting a quick kill onto your opponent's support is going to make that heck up a lot easier, and that is going to leave JackeyLove open for a dive right now. You can see Crisp booking it back into this top lane, trying desperately to get there. I don't think Leaf is going to be able to shove through this wave fast enough, and I don't think you've potentially tanky enough to be able to get the dive off. But it was definitely threatened right there. You can keep up this pressure, keep JackeyLove uncomfortable, as we've been saying. It's a great way to play it out. All of this action in the top lane, they both have culls. You know, neither of these ADCs actually really want to be getting
It's a scale off. Come on. They know the real assignment, regardless how scrappy it might get. I do think, though, Aki, with all these really big ultimates, for NIP, that Crescent Guard, I think, is going to be the most important.
Yep.
Because while it doesn't interrupt the Shockwave's CC, if you get Crescent Guard ulted with it over top, takes away the damage. And then JackeyLove's entire kit is nerfed as well. So Aki being ahead, we talk about who out of these former OMG star players from years past needs to step up, especially for NIP to have success. We've been waiting to call Aki's name outside of that Nocturne performance. No better spot than now.
And it's a couple of these lanes that we've really been looking at to be the proper performers that have been a bit quiet so far. Crisp again? He's
Chopper's
fine, right?
down. They do lock Aki up, and the Counter-Strike's available. Aki's going to get flash stunned on. The very jungler we were talking about is going to go down, and JackeyLove gets the reset. Kanavi has the ball on him. The Shockwave holds Leaf in place. He has to flash over the wall. Kanavi, does he have the leap strike in time? No, he doesn't. But TES get themselves a pretty critical kill onto their superstar AD.
And that was Leaf trying to step past the rest of his friends, try to go and pick up the kill onto Crisp, but you just don't have the damage in that situation. It's going to leave TES open to picking themselves up these grubs as well. And NIP, they brought members up into this lane and just aren't able to play that one out correctly. Once again, it feels like as much as NIP do sometimes try to get proactive, they're not necessarily making the right decision. The pick onto Crisp was earlier because he's alone. This one, he's well with his friends. You can see Leaf just constantly stepping forwards, trying to get the kill, but ended up working out. And at least you are able to survive here as Leaf and PP God, but it's a close thing.
Yeah, and Crisp, level 2 as well prior, didn't have Polymorph leveled. You saw what the difference Polymorph made right there. And good on Cream to recognize he had lane prio. Doinby just couldn't respond. I don't even think he had level 6, or potentially did, but did not move over just yet. So we're back to an even footing. It's the exact stakes you feel in an elimination match with one team on match point. You got to look towards the Dragon as the next goal as we do settle back into pretty standard lanes. 369 making the trudge up step by step.
Getting there eventually. I have to see Drakes as well, because in the previous game, NIP just were not getting themselves objectives really at all. The Drakes, the Grubs, all of that was falling to the wayside, and not really for any response on the opposite side of the map. It's not like it was being traded for anything. Towers, something to make you money, give you extra stats. Just kind of letting it happen to them. I don't want to see that in this game. NIP, they've got a slightly stronger bot lane in this situation, so you can actually roam them up along with you. You're not reliant on a Sion who's off in a side lane and pretty weak at the point at which these objectives were starting. But still, neither team has any real urgency to go on towards this first Drake. Is Mountain? It would be a nice one for either of these teams to be able to pick up for themselves, but instead more than happy to head back to standard lane assignments. And I think we've talked a lot about top, a lot about bot, but we haven't really touched on this mid lane right now. Doinby, you've been talking a lot about how you want him to pop off. Well, if there's any champion he could potentially do it on, surely it's the Yasuo.
It's got to be the Yasuo. And hey, he's looking for an angle here. Dodges out the Shockwave, does hit the Q, but Kanavi being there maybe stop Doinby from pressing that R-key, going for a solo kill that everybody in the arena, on the broadcast, watching at home is desperately waiting for.
Oh yeah, the solo kill would be so hype. We see so few of them at the moment in the current state of League. But at least that pressure does mean that Cream has to go back to base. You buy a lot of extra space here for Aki. Indeed, Dragon time for the jungler for NIP. He's not going to get to do it uninterrupted though.
Chris just starting to clear out some words. Kanavi is close by on that Grom. Should be able to secure this. Yeah,
he's fine. Okay.
Yeah, Kanavi's not going to be able to get there, so... Gonna trade that neutral. NIP gonna grab that dragon, but leaves maybe looking for more here. Going for the all-in, but steps on the chompers, eats the rocket. JackeyLove has him read like a book, and now this poor kitty is hung out to dry with nobody to jump to. The TP's just a bit too late. There's Feats of Warfare secured. Chris flashes to safety, but there's the barrel from Doinb. It hits JackeyLove, but he has to flash under the turret to find the first kill. Luckily, he can use his bows to dash out to safety. There's the wombo combo NIP needed, and it salvages them an even trade on that skirmish.
Oh, that would have been a terrible play right there for NIP if you're not able to scramble Doinb down into the bottom lane. You pick yourself up the Mountain Drake as well throughout so actually an overall positive trade right here for NIP, and that's the combo. Like you said, that's what we're really going to be looking for once we get further into this matchup. There's a couple people who can apply knockups for Doinb to play around, but it's really Sanji hitting that big explosive cast, hopefully onto multiple members once we get later into this game, that we're going to be looking for the Doinb ulti. But it's that Flame Chomper right there, the very edge one that leaves Leave just completely in no man's land. Now, Kanavi is going to be able to trade this one back, at least pick up another kill, but Sanji's teleport, as much as it felt late, actually doesn't get there too bad. But I'm so impressed by Doinb. He's way under the tower there, and just about manages to survive. Yasuo, so very mobile, but still, he was skirting along a knife's edge.
Definitely feels like the AD carry matchup is settled back into how we expected it to be a big focal point here for TES. Leave is, ever since that Senna game, kind of struggling to find his footing, but it doesn't matter if NIP finally get their split MVP to bring a game home for them when they need it most. Attention shifting towards this top side, however, with Doinb teleporting in, really want to fight for these grubs. And it looks like with the teleport from Doinb, TS are willing to give the split here.
Yeah, they're just going to step away from this one. I am surprised. TS have really not been happy to give up objectives throughout this series. Not in the same way that NIP have, but they're getting a good push off for themselves down in the bottom lane. Yeah, it's a lot of gold over to 369. Now, 369 has had a very quiet game so far. But Camille, they don't stay as quiet games, not very often, and not in the hands of 369. It's going to be interesting to see what the decision-making is out of him. Does he want to play more of a split push role, not really join up with the rest of the team and just constantly be that side lane pressure that's drawing NIP away from taking the straight up full team fights, or does he want to go and find those big flanks into the backline? If you can do that, shut down either Doinb or Leave, Doinb potentially going to be slightly easier to grab without the Yuumi sat on top, then that will be a great way to begin these team fights, and Camille flanks are always very exciting.
Flanks are going to be the focal point in this game as it goes forward. For Doinb and Shanji on this Gragas Yasuo combo, then like you pointed out, with the Camille. There's a wombo on either side. It's a ball delivery system and a knockup that is going to be the focal point of every single fight going forward. So our attention has to turn back towards that potential Drake pit here in a couple of minutes. But we're starting to get those first big item breakpoints. Cream, though, opting for this Archangels does signal that TS might want to play this one a bit slower. Not going to have as much really skirmishing power outside of 369 with that Triforce completed.
Yeah, you're kind of waiting a little bit until this composition really pops off. That being said, when it does, when you do get to that 2-3 item point, that's when you're going to be in such a strong position as TES. Now, it's going to be interesting to see with the Drake spawning in a minute and a half time, if we're actually going to have these bot laners stay in the top lane, or if anybody's going to take a reset head on down and try to get themselves a bit of lane priority around this up-and-coming objective. All of the junglers currently are around the top side.
Oh boy, 369 is really starting to hand it to Shanji. He's got this XP lead. And with the Triforce down like we talked about, it's just a straight item differential. Shanji's, I hope he's able to get an item on this back, but he's not sitting on a ton of components.
No. And if he falls further and further behind in terms of the items, yeah, I don't actually know he can go back right here, because if he does, we're also going to lose out on a ton more damage onto this tower. Only 13 seconds until the plating is gone, so, you know, at least there's that. That might be the point at which you can head back to base. You also have Aki in the area if maybe you want to see if you can bait 369 into overextending. We do indeed get the resets coming out from both of these bot lanes, and they're actually going to head down mid lane, keep themselves in a good position to head either up towards the Herald or down towards this Drake.
This game is going at a slower pace as we expected, with all the early game-oriented comps knocked out in the opening games of this matchup. but it's important to remind of the stakes for TES, a team, an organization that's looking to try and cement themselves as on that Mount Rushmore of the LPL, getting that top 4 spot with a shot at finals and a date with BLG would help them towards that goal. But for NIP, it's avoiding a crumble from such an impressive regular season. And it's so pitiful that they're relying on Doinb, their MVP of the split, to do so. And maybe they can break open this game around this dragon as all eyes turn towards it. Cloud Drake being churned down by Aki and Doinb, tons of damage. Kanavi looking to potentially go in and steal, but there's nothing but a whisper of the Cloud Drake dropping down to NIP as they pick up the first 2.
Now 50 seconds until the Herald. You can move straight up through mid. It's really a little bit more important to be able to establish yourself some mid-top control for the next set of objectives. Also going to get the Scuttle Crab is Aki around this. That's going to be nice too. Now there are teleports on both of the top laners sat down in the bottom lane so far. If this wants to turn from a little bit of a staring contest into an actual 5v5 skirmish team fight, then they will be able to join with first items completed and second items on their way. These teams are getting themselves into the position where they can begin to start actually wanting to fight.
Level 2 ultimates, real big breakpoint, especially for these mid laners.
Doinb's got it.
Doinb's got it. Shanji takes over, so all solo lanes have access to that level 2 ultimate. But it's a full strategy game trying to see what side of the map these rotations are going towards. As Kanavi's going to jump in with the counter-strike, but a turn immediately on its head. He wasn't expecting Aki to be so close by. They get the Yuumi ult to try and lock him down. There's the Crescent Guard out to block all of 369's damage, and Aki knocks down Kanavi. That rocket goes completely blank, but JackeyLove still gets the reset on to leave. And now teleports are starting to come through here. Doinb gets the knock him off Aki onto JackeyLove. They grab the kill. Finally, Doinb finds his moment and gives NIP a slight edge in the first big skirmish in the mid lane.
It looked like a terrible bit of timing right there out of TS. Kanavi going way deep, and all of a sudden Aki pops out of the bush, but it doesn't matter in the end. TS, they're able to scramble more members around. Do end up losing JackeyLove though, and it's going to be NIP picking themselves up this Herald. The response potentially going to be a look at a dive towards bot lane. That would be risky. I think instead, yeah, they're just going to have a little bit of a scout through, see if they can steal away some camps and head back to base. This game is much better out of NIP.
Finally settling into playing slower.
Yeah.
And no better fight shows it than this one.
Yeah, there's a difference between playing these games slowly and playing them passively. This is NIP playing to the strengths of their composition, allowing the game to come to them in the ways in which they really need to. And I love this combo again. That's the second side of that combo, right? We've talked about the barrel out of Sanji. Well, Aki can also do it with that third strike.
Oh, why don't we do it again? Yeah. Last press available. One more auto, but 369. Yeah, respects it. He's going to flash and hook shot out there. We did see a Pipluar getting the replay. The TS, they stacked the bot side, knocked down that first tier 1 turret, so they do have feats of strength. There's 369 able to get out of that Yuumi slow and get back towards his team. So slight edge over there to TES, gives them a bit more of a lead than their gold would show.
Man, I got the full feats to TS.
Shanji? Oh, he might get cut off going back towards his mid turret. That's the explosive cast used defensively, so a big engage tool for NIP is down. If you want a last breath from Doinb, it's going to have to be the 3-town strike, but Doinb's on his own little island right now, so
yeah, he's happy to just be pushing out this bot lane tier 1 tower, pick up a little bit of extra standing gold for the team. They are down by about 1,000 at the moment, really not too much at this point in the game. Definitely not an insurmountable lead by any means.
I
think he's
knocks
okay.
Down the turret. He's got Aki close by, and Shanji's going to TP in. Doinb has to stall, but 369's heralding him. They get the polymorph, but there's the knockout in the immediate turn by NIP. 369's by a lot of time with the Hextech ultimatum, though. Does have that wild growth, but finally, Aki slains him down. Kanavi wants to brawl next, though, stepping up with his ultimate, looking for the counter-strike to come back around. Down goes Aki. He hops for Doinb, who flashes out of the big-time ultimate from the Orianna. The shockwave doesn't find its mark, but it's going to be the reset for JackeyLove. Kanavi gets the counter-strike. They're going forward, and JackeyLove is churning through them all. Finds the triple kill for Kanavi as TES find themselves an edge.
And that's a huge play right there for TES after what was a very even early game on the aggressive play bot lane. NIP, they try to bring multiple members down there after their top laner gets jumped. And in the end, it does not work out for them. TES, they're able to scramble more troops quicker. And Kanavi popping off right here on the Jax. We were expecting the Jax top. Right now, the Jax jungle doing work. And the main thing right here is that TES, they get so much time bought for them by 369. The Hextech Ultimatum, as you called out rightfully, it takes so much longer to finally kill 369 that you're able to get everybody you need to into this fight. And the point at which Kanavi is here, he's just running through this one. Honestly, I was slightly worried we were going to see a Jax pentakill in this one. If you're able to get on top of Leave and he isn't able to jump over that wall there, well, you've got the triple already. Could have been anyone's game.
Kanavi found his form of old on that Viego. Playing the damage dealer, the Jax looks to be the same here. Big Hextech Drake has spawned as Kanavi once again leaping forward with no regard for his own safety. There's the explosive cast onto Kanavi, but that's not the target you want to go for. Doinby can't survive in the front line of TES.
Oh, no.
A mistake from the MVP of the split, and it's going to open this game wide open for TES. Slow on to Shanji, Hextech Ultimatum. He's done and dusted. Another triple kill, this time to Cream, as TES explode for a bigger gold lead.
There we go, another one of those players we were highlighting who's had a quiet series, Cream, managing to pick up that triple kill right here, and they're going to be able to turn it back on over to the Hextech Drake. It's only their first of the series, so they're not going to be able to pick themselves up anything too much from it. Yeah, exactly, and I think the bigger prize is going to be this Artican. Aki is in the area, could potentially try for something a little bit tricky with those Hextech portals, but it doesn't really feel like there's any response out of NIP, picking themselves up this Ruinous. And that's going to be another huge advantage for them right here.
TES are playing with the confidence we saw in that IG series. It's once again NIP just not, they don't have the vision to commit to that engage. I know we don't see it with the observers, but that was complete fog of that bottom river. Doinby is ulting a solo Jax blind, and boy did he pay for it.
You can't do that. You simply cannot do that. Not in this kind of matchup where you're on the very edge of being eliminated from Split 1. We've talked about it. Doinby's not been having the best time of it so far. Gonna get jumped right here.
Yeah.
With the Hextech Ultimatum almost up.
Yeah, they might not even need it though, and they can go under the turret, right? They've got Ruinous Otacon revive, and wow, they let Doinby out.
Gosh.
Shockwave onto Cream. Ooh, flashes over the explosive cast, so split map plays, and it seems to be just Summoner's burn, but it's JackeyLive and Crysler barreling down the mid lane. What can Leave really do but watch his turret burn?
Yeah, Leave had such a good game 1 and game 2. Just hasn't been able to get his footing in this one. Been put pretty far behind. 2 items completed though. So still could be who NIP needs to be able to take us to Silver Scrapes. Take us to that game number 5. If anyone's going to do it, but once again, we're just seeing Aki get jumped.
Kanavi's at a whole nother level right now. Throwing caution to the wind. There's the last breath onto 369. Hextech Ultimatum buys space once more, but this time he's going to drop to the revive. But Kanavi goes back in, flashes with the counter strike. He's right on top of Aki, but Aki just won't fall. Wild Growth buys a little bit of time there for Kanavi, and now the rest of TS can step up. Down goes Shanji. It's JackeyLive and company on the backline, providing the killer edge, and they're onto the inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, it's only 23 minutes into this game, and they're going to be able to break open the base of NIP. They do not want a game 5. They want this one done now. They want to start thinking about BLG in the next round. And oh my lord, that 10,000 total kills for TES off of that play. 8 all-time in the LPL. That's crazy. That's a lot of kills.
It's another big milestone for an organization that wants to be one of those golden circle teams in the history books of the LPL. And for all we talked about the regular split being so impactful for NIP, the playoffs is a whole nother level, and TES are just built for these moments, it seems like, and the limelight is running out of NIP. They need to find a big break in this game, or they're just going to be slowly taken down, and Shanji knows it, but he doesn't hit the explosive cast onto 369, who does commit the flash, but these are just small wins that aren't going to be enough.
No, they're going to need to find something massive. They're going to need a pop-off performance from Doinby, from Leave. Arky, find that engage. It feels like they're running out of time desperately right now as Ingo TES. They're going to be able to pick up this mid lane tower. It just keeps happening. They've also got a wave pushing on to the tier 2 in the top side if they want to move on to that one. For now, though, perfectly contented to just grab multiple of these inhibitors.
Doinby pressed out an entire bot wave, but recalls to nothing. They give up 2 inhibitors at 24 minutes. This game feels over.
It might be. Slayer, I don't want to say it. I want more. I want this to go to a game number 5, but it just might be over right here. This might be the last that we get to see of NIP in this split 1. It's been an okay split for them so far, right? But not the split that this organization would have been wanting, not with these names.
They dropped 1 game in the regular split.
Yeah,
and they're about to drop 6 and go out with nothing.
Heading into the playoffs as the 1 seed from your group, and then everything falls apart. Doesn't really matter how much you can get done in the regular season. The playoffs is where it matters. Kanavi just jumping in, just showing up, showing off a little bit. We've got Baron available on the map now. This may well be the final piece that TES needs to end this NIP puzzle. Let's see what they can do with it.
A TES roster full of world champions. They just know how to play at a different level when it matters most. It feels like one more fight could end this, and they know it. They have the control. They're going for the Baron. It's desperation time for NIP. Who wants to step up and be the hero? Doinby being heralded by 369 off to the side. Here comes a big flake from Aki. They do find some big targets. Stasis goes out for creep. There's Doinby with the 2-man last breath. The bottom lane of TS is down when they needed it most. Doinby has found the kills needed. Everyone else for TS is scattered. 369 finds the trade on the Doinby, but it's too damn late. NIP are not done yet!
Oh my lord, again! It happens again, TES. They don't know how to close themselves out games, despite the fact they have right now got minions pouring into their base. It doesn't matter, it's gonna be the pickup of the Baron. It's a ton of kills, shutdowns galore going over to NIP, and they are still fighting.
They've got a Hextech Drake spawning. Death timers aren't going to be long enough for them to take it, but it doesn't matter. They found themselves a lifeline.
And these towers respawn nowadays.
Yeah, they do. So it's not too bad. Let's look back at this fight, but
oh boy,
it's the Aki flank that does it, and the barrel from Sanji.
I wasn't sure that the Aki flank was gonna help out right here, but it does. And Sanji being able to get that knockup means that Doinby is able to finally start making this work. He does die in the end, but it really doesn't matter. You can see in the picture-in-picture, though, yes, they are going to be picking themselves up their second of the Hextech Drakes. It means that it's 2 apiece. It takes the point at which we actually have that Elder on the map further and further out of our grasp. Means that both these teams are going to get more time to scale. To be honest, I think that this favors NIP as they play catch-up right here, but they're right now only down by 3,000 gold. That was a significantly bigger advantage not 3 minutes ago.
And while it takes away a lot of your map control, super minions pouring into your base, if you can stall, those minions provide such a boost for gold and XP catching up. So NIP recognize they're going to keep farming those waves, and all they need to do is keep this top wave healthy enough with the Baron. This game is officially in stall mode. There's really no way for TS to break this until Baron drops in a minute 40.
No, they do have a team that can shred through towers if you can get on top of them, but the wave clear is more than good enough right here for NIP. They're not hurting in that regard. And I think part of this as well is the fact that we've got the Hextech Rift. Usually, when you're pinned underneath your towers trying to clear out super minion waves, it means there's no way you can get yourself actually involved in these team fights around Baron, around Dragon. But with these Hexgates, it's so much quicker to rotate from your base out onto the map and to find flanks by using the ones across the pits themselves, exactly what Arky did to be able to find that big flank. This rift, this map, is helping them so much right now still. They're bleeding out on objectives at this point. They're going to need a couple more big fights to really be able to swing this one.
You got to just turtle into any structures in their base. They don't need to worry about getting outscaled either. Boxer, I think they match across the board, pretty similar scaling. Well, maybe the jungle is the one advantage. A little bit better, but the fact that you have a hyper-scaling mid and AD, if you get the right fights, none of it really matters.
Yeah, if you can find that moment, that engage, it's going to be huge. And the thing is, there's a heck of a lot of AD damage on NIP, something we haven't really talked about so far. But there aren't really any tanks for TES that are particularly building themselves a lot of armor. You can see there's a couple plated steel caps. There's a Frozen Heart. It definitely is a Frozen Heart game. I like that pickup right here for Kanavi. But at the same time, it's not like you are a massive Ornn. You know, like we wanted out of TES in this game. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. This one continues on. It felt so done and dusted. We were ready to close the book on NIP in Split 1. But they are showing us that it is not over till it is over. What can they do?
Kanavi looking for the X Factor. Wow, jumping with the Counter-Strike into the Shockwave. TES just shut up the doubters with one big kill on to lead. And now there's nowhere for NIP to run, nowhere for them to hide. Just when you thought the door was creeping open, TES slam it shut with an ace of dreams. One big fight and a destiny match with BLG has fronted itself in reality.
There we go. It's not over till it's over. And Slayer, this one is done. This is going to be the win right here for TES. Couple times they've shown that closing it out isn't necessarily their favorite activity, but boy have they made it interesting, and boy do they deserve to move on to the next round of these LPL playoffs.
And who gets the job done for them in these last two games? It's Kanavi. Kanavi on this Jax was masterful, and Cream goes deathless. NIP, they lost one game in the regular split, and they drop out 6 more from top seed to finishing top 6.
Slayer, this LPL format is brutal. This is
brutal.
Easily the most brutal I've seen a format. For teams who get to play 3 best-of-5s, then get thrown immediately into playoffs, still best-of-5s, there's no recourse. You lose your upper bracket match, you lose your lower bracket match, and you're done. I mean, hey, clearly something wasn't working for them outside of the regular split. There were already light questions going on of how impactful their group was in comparison to some of the others. Maybe those are questions that were bearing fruit. Either way, Top Esports, they have shown up today, balled out. It took a wacky draft in game number 1 for them to falter, and sure, closing games been a little bit iffy for them today, but I am very impressed with the way they've performed overall, and I'm excited for their matchup versus BLG.
Yeah, you know, as much as we talked about the playbook to beat Top Esports, kind of felt like it's out on shutting down JackeyLove. Looking back, you know, retroactively, the fact that they were able to win Game 2 with JackeyLove in such a tough spot,
yeah,
you're right, bodes really well, because you will have the JackeyLove games where he does what he does best. But if you can win the games where teams make it a point to just take him out, maybe TES do have a shot against BLG. The question is just for TES is consistency and, like you mentioned, closing out leads.
Yeah, if they can shore that one up, which it's a very short turnaround. I think their matchup versus BLG is going to be on Thursday, so you've not got a lot of time to really be able to sort that one out. If they can shore those up, as I'm sure their coaching staff will have recognized, then this could be an incredibly fun matchup between them and BLG. I mean, the way that 369 is playing, I think that's going to be a matchup for the ages, right? Him versus being in the top lane, such an exciting one.
Yeah. You know, if they won this game with the Camille, I was going to hype up, oh man, who's going to get the Camille? 369's Camille was all right. I don't think it's going to be that much a contested one, but you know what was a fun matchup? Bin tried to play Aatrox and got slapped by Camille, and if there's anybody that knows how to play an Aatrox well, it's going to be 369. I'm glad you pointed out that top lane. It's going to be awesome. But looking at this for NIP,
I feel for them. I really do.
Yeah, I just ran out of gas. I mean, some of these guys that we were talking about is coming off an OMG roster, you know, getting the big call-up of the LPL equivalent to come to a team like this in NIP. I mean, outside of Game 1, Shanji's Papu was good. The Nocturne from Aki. PP God got drafted out of his style. it just wasn't enough. And even if Doinby was on, I don't know if the way the form looked for them later in the series, it would have been enough to come over top.
No, it felt like when we got to see Game 1, those were our questions answered. Maybe we'd been too harsh on NIP in questioning what their form was looking like coming in to these playoffs. The next 3 games showed us that, yeah, not so much. As much as they were able to mount some impressive attempts at comebacks, you weren't actually able to close those out. You still end up losing this series 3-1, and that is the end of your split so far. They are still a top 6 team in the LPL. That makes you one of the better teams in the entire world. But it won't feel like enough. Not for a team who come out at the top of their group. For a team with names like Doinby. You're gonna be disappointed with that one, and I really am excited to see this team next split, but there are big questions for them going into this offseason.
Yeah, for a guy like Doinby who said he's here to win everything, well, that's out the window, my friend. You officially cannot win everything. The split MVP is out at top 6 here as we get a look at this post-game graphic. But really all it shows is that TES, when the series got higher stakes, they just played better as a team. This was the most cohesive. These last 2 games were the most cohesive games for TES. And like once again, talking about their next opponent, they're going to have to play like games 3 and 4 the entire series.
Yeah. What we've been speaking about a little bit on camera, but specifically when we've been chatting behind the scenes, is, hey, BLG don't allow teams to just let the game happen, because the second that you're passive in a game, you lose. ThunderTalk, they were active, it works out, you know? If you passively let games happen, oh boy. And there were a couple of games right here where we saw TES kind of let the game happen to them, where they were happy to just sit back, allow things to develop in front of them, and were playing overly passively. You can play in a style that's allowing you to scale till the late game without just giving everything up. It does make me worry a little bit for them going into this matchup with BLG, but then again, there were some pop-off performances right here. There were some moments in these series where I'm like, no, actually, they can go toe-to-toe.
BLG's definitely the team with lane leads. They look the scariest, so that is a tough matchup for TES. But, yeah, outside of the one Baron fight we're going to see where the Wombo, like, really came together, I'm just most impressed by the Kanavi turnaround, because that game 1 was so rough. He did nothing on the Sejuani, and it's so funny that he's confident to be this full-fledged engaged guy on Jax when the Sejuani game was the one where he looked most skittish.
Yeah, the Jax jungle is such an interesting pickup right here. I was really expecting to see it in the top lane. We got to see it in the top lane in the BLG TT matchup. But all of a sudden, it goes into the jungle, and it looks great the whole way through. It can be that kind of aggressive pickup in the same way that the Xin Zhao is, that the Vi are, where they can get into the backline, but also survive for a surprisingly long amount of time. You can see Kanavi definitely felt at his most comfortable on that pickup.
Certainly.
And it's going to potentially be hotly contested between different lanes and different teams in that following matchup that we do have between them on Thursday. Yeah, this is the one time. This is the one time right here where you get to see NIP pull out exactly what we've been hoping to see from them the whole day. If you're an NIP fan, if you want 5 games of League of Legends, it felt good to see, but then they immediately walked too far up mid. And
this, a minute later,
the Kanavi play.
Or 2 minutes later, there's the Kanavi play. Shockwave from Cream.
Yeah.
They brought their Wombo, and unfortunately, it was the one at the buzzer. And something we preached at the start of this one, regulars, and every team learns. You see it every split. As we look at the updated bracket, and I'll make the point here, especially looking at ThunderTalk and now NIP. Regular splits are impressive. Playoffs are for legacy. And TES is just a team that was built for this stage of the split. NIP, not there yet just.
No, but there is plenty for them to build upon in the future. Looking at this graphic right here, we have our top 4 decided. I'm not surprised Kanavi is also
I thought they
going
might
to
give it
be
a
our
Cream.
MVP.
I mean, Cream did go 8-0-7 on the Orianna, but yeah, Kanavi
it was definitely
gets it.
Kanavi's game. Kanavi deserves this one 100% right here. He was the driving force that his team really needed him to be, and like you said, the turnaround from game 1 to what I think was a steadily increasing level of performance throughout the rest. But yeah.
So here we go. Top 4. Bloxer, your immediate reactions looking across the board, because for me, obviously BLG are the 2-time champs. AL have looked like the best team from Demacia Cup to now.
Yeah.
But TES and JDG seem to be back in form, which just makes this top 4 even more tantalizing.
Yeah, TES and JDG are the two that I'm having the most trouble getting a real read on. JDG beat TT, which is good, but TT also have plenty of problems in that roster. I love it, I'm excited to see it play on, but they had some things to work on between this split and the next. So I don't know the read on what JDG are really doing. And then TES, we've again recognized a ton of things that this series weren't perfect, that they weren't able to do exactly as possible. If you had to ask me at this point, I think BLG and AL were going to be our finalists, but there's still plenty of best of 5s left for us to get to that point.
And the LPL is as volatile as it will ever be currently. So the best games are ahead of us. The biggest throws, the biggest highlights are ahead of us. But for tonight, it's time to close things down. Before we get on out of here, I got one big shout out to one awesome coffee member. If you stuck around towards the end of the broadcast, you know what I'm about to say. Thank you very much to our elite coffee supporter, Aaron Soup. Their pledged financial contribution helps us level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every day on our unofficial channel. So thank you, Aaron Soup. If you want to be a coffee supporter, you've got the link below to help you out, but we also appreciate YouTube subscribers, Twitch subscribers, just you chatters and viewers popping in here means the world. That will do it, though, for myself, the awesome, the Trooper Bloxer, who deserves a round of applause of their own for making it through the entire night. 8 games for you, Bloxer. Any final thoughts before we close this out and move on to top 4?
Oh man, it was long, but that was incredibly fun. Thank you so much to Kelsey as well, our production, for sticking around for this entire one as well. Also was here since the very beginning, and yeah, I love the LPL. I cannot wait to see who gets crowned as the champion here.
Well, we've got 4 teams left to decide that. We will be right back in action to figure out who that is tomorrow. So make sure to stay logged to the socials on LPL English. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you the high-octane games that the LPL, the best league in the world, has to offer, all split 1. We'll see you guys tomorrow to figure out who's going to be in that grand final and who's going to get a chance in the lower bracket final to challenge them. But for now, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.